Well, today we're at Sonny Boy Williamson's gravesite. The whole group came out, and really neat place out here in the Delta.
You can do that, you can get anybody's budget. Inevitably, it's chicken out. Or you end up
hammering himself in the nose.
You hit yourself in the nose.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, he's got a good one.
It was funny when I came out here 20 or 30 years ago, and I mean, Sonny Boy there's something about him. He was just like emblematic. What's the word? Like that. Thank you, whatever that word is, of blues harmonica. And I didn't even know that people did it, but other people had the same idea of putting little harmonicas here that they were, I guess, offering up to Sonny Boy. And he had this radio show over in Helena, Arkansas, across the river, radio, I think it's KFFA, and this was like in the early 40s. He would broadcast every day at noon, the King Biscuit Flour Hour, which was a commercial for King Biscuit Flour Hour and for himself as well, as because he would play and then say where the gig that he was going to be at that night. And in those days, radio was kind of like what TV was a few years ago, so like what the internet is now, like people were listening all the time. And so the influence, this show was broadcast pretty much throughout the South. And so it had a tremendous influence on a younger generation. And during the migration going to the north, a lot of blues musicians came to Clarksdale, stayed with Sonny Boy, and were influenced by his playing. And that would include Little Walter was someone who stayed with Sonny Boy. And another famous one is James Cotton, who was just a little boy. And when he left home and came up and stayed with Sonny Boy. I was in a liquor store in Hollywood, California, probably the third or fourth time that day in that time of my life, and I don't know if you've been there in Hollywood, it's right across the street from that round building that's a hotel, the Holiday Inn. And so anyway, I used to live right in that area, and so guy comes in and you're James Cotton, aren't you? And yes, I am. And so I spoke with James Cotton for a while. I've said it was difficult for me to understand that deep South dialect that he had, but he needed a ride to the airport that night, and so I offered to give him that ride to the airport. And I asked him about Sonny Boy, and he said, I remember a couple of things that he said about Sonny Boy. He said Sonny Boy was a great big guy. He was 240 when he was fat and like 190 when he was thin. He would just take off for weeks at a time, disappear, come back. He was pretty nice, but he'd stick you if you got mad.
With a knife.
I don't think he meant with words either.
With a knife.
Yeah, he'd stick you. And he said, Sonny Boy told him, he said, nothing happens if you don't play that harp. Like if you walk into a room and you don't pull out your harmonica and start playing it, you're not going to play it. There's not going to be any music. You're not going to create it. That's that first moment, you know, like be that person, pull out the harp, play it, you know, and so I think that was pretty good advice. There's a whole lore about Sonny Boy, and he was tremendously popular, so much so that the other blues musicians couldn't get any traction around here. Okay, now when you're learning to play harmonica, I'm said pick a song. Well, there's a few people where you can really go into their library of music and find great songs that you want to do, and that blues people know. And Sonny Boy is definitely one of those guys. Now, you know, you have the great Robert Johnson. He would write lyrics like this, which might be tough to pull off. Me and the devil were riding side by side. I'm going to beat my woman till I'm satisfied. I don't think I'm going to be singing that one down at the ground zero
The wine bar.
tonight. At the wine bar, that might not go so well. Right. So,
The Organic Foods Co-op, right?
Right.
John, you might want to explain. There are two Sonny Boys.
Right.
Well,
And
that's a good point. Yeah. All right. Yeah, in fact, I'll just step back for a moment, because he was born, I think, Willie Miller. And he became Willie Rice Miller, and he became Rice Miller. But there was this guy up in Chicago, Sonny Boy Williamson I, whose name was Jon Lee Williamson. And you got to check out his music too, particularly his songs. Wrote "Good Morning Little Schoolgirl," which is kind of a sick song too, but people sing it anyway. And anyway, so he took Sonny Boy I's name. I don't know if he waited until Sonny Boy I was murdered at the age of 38 or 39, walking home after a gig, because that's what happened to Sonny Boy I. But anyway, he stole the name Sonny Boy II, or took the name Sonny Boy II, and both of those Sonny Boys are like godfathers of the blues and of the blues harmonica. Now, I was talking about songwriting and Robert Johnson and Beat My Woman Till I'm Satisfied, or even Little Walter songs. Hey, they're great songs, Little Walter songs. I mean, I just love that, you know. It says, it's too late, it's too late, it's too late. You ain't good looking and I can't stand you cooking, you're gone. I mean, that's just really great stuff from Little Walter. Now, Sonny Boy as a songwriter, almost all of his stuff was in a typical 12-bar blues, and he wrote about the people and the community and relationships, and this is one of the reasons why his songs are so terrific. Well, don't start me talking, I'll tell you everything I know, and then he goes through a litany of, you know, what's going on in the community. He says, you got to help me, I'm too old to think. I know that feeling. And so what I suggest is that you go through some of these guys. Certainly Muddy Waters, who was born about 15 miles down here from here over in Stover's Plantation on the other side of Clarksdale, and fall in love with a song. And that's what I did. I was more of a folky guy, to tell you the truth, and I've had to get with the blues later in life. A lot of it influenced by my coaches, these guys and other coaches I've hired who've played the blues for a living. And anyway, I found this song, Keep It To Yourself, that I love the way, I love the introduction to it. And I loved the song, I loved what it said. And I was learning to tongue block. And it has this really great, at least the version I heard, this really great version, or really great tongue blocking opening where you do these tongue slaps. So anyway, here's that song. And I'll do that intro for you, which is one reason I liked it so much. I said, do me a favor, keep our business to yourself. Oh, do me a favor, keep our business to ourselves. Don't go telling your family, don't tell no one else. You have a husband, I have a wife. If you go talking and ruin our happy life, I said, please, keep our business to ourselves. Don't go telling your family, don't tell no one else. Don't tell your mother, don't tell your brother, don't tell your sister, please don't tell your father, no. Keep our business to ourselves. Don't go telling your family, don't tell no one else.
All right, yeah.
All right, so hopefully you can see how, like, getting to know an artist, falling in love with a song, making that song yours so you own it, even if you have to change it around to do it, to make it something that's in your soul and your heart. That's the direction. That's what you want to do. Now, last time, no, it was maybe a year ago. We were here, and the fellows were milling around and coming up close, and they took a picture of each other, all sitting like this. Someone said, John, can you get in the picture? And I came back here, and I'd just gotten done playing that song for everybody, doing what we did, and I went like that. And the headstone fell over.
Oh, wow.
Fell right over.
Wow.
Right there. Right
Wow.
flat. And the guy that was sitting right there, and I have a picture taken a moment before it fell over. He scampered out of the way, and it took like 5 guys, to lift this thing back up. And I thought maybe Sonny Boy didn't like the way I did this. I wasn't sure, but anyway, I got together with Guy about it, and the Mississippi Tourist Association or something came out, and apparently it's safe now. Now, back there's the gravestones, 2 of them, of Sonny Boy's sisters, who died in a house fire in Clarksdale on the same day. And so you would find that back there.
John?
If you do get back here where it's a little muddy, here's some of the songs he wrote. Eyesight to the Blind. You've been talking about your woman. I wish you could see mine. Little girls start to love me. She brings eyesight to the blind. Her daddy must have been a millionaire. You can tell by the way she walks. Daddy must have been a millionaire. I can tell by the way she talks. Little girls start to love me. Deaf can hear and the dumb can talk. Yeah. A Mighty Long Time, 9 Below Zero, Too Close Together, West Memphis Blues, Mr. Downchild, many others. One of the songs that helped me, which someone did the other day in their mini. Matt did, yeah. And that was actually, that rhythm section, the way that lays out, that was actually the basis for Booker T and the MG's Green Onions, that particular chord progression and rhythm. Anyway, wander around for a few minutes, take some pictures. and then we'll head back, and I'll stop at for the educational center. They're expecting us, and if you want to go on, that's good, and if you want to stop, yeah.
How did he die?
Okay, well, really good question. Thank you. Okay, so Sonny Boy lived a long time for black guys in the Delta in those days, and in the later part of his life, when the blues and the British blues invasion, over in England, they discovered him. And in fact, they discovered the blues. And so a lot of those guys, Howlin' Wolf and Sonny Boy, I think Walter never made it over to England that I know of, but Sonny Boy went over to England and he took to wearing a bowler hat and carrying a cane, and there's clips of him over there putting on this act and he had a suit that I think was white on this side and black on this side, and he'd come out. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The name of this song is Bye Bye Berg, and he would maybe not even have a company, just do tricks with the harmonica in his mouth, play these songs. And so he was over there, I don't know, for a year or two. There's albums of him playing with the Yardbirds and albums of him playing with the Animals. I think he was the one who said, these white boys want to play the blues so badly, and they do.
Right.
That might have been him. You know, he was the guy. Everyone thinks the Allman Brothers wrote "One Way Out," and that, like, you know, right? And that's Sonny Boy. Anyway, he came back here. There's a fabulous interview with Robbie Robertson of the band, and they were in the Delta at that time, and they met up with Sonny Boy and they were just in love with him. They knew who he was and how great he was, and they were having lunch with him in a restaurant in Helena, and a couple of cops came in and said, black guy, go back to where you belong. Hippies, go north. And Sonny Boy, they said, you need to watch this. And the idea of how tragic it was and how clamped down upon these old traditions were when they came. So these musicians, like if you guys hang out together, you're going to be in big trouble here in Helena, Arkansas. And they said, Sonny Boy, they were like ready to fight, the young guys. And they said, well, Sonny Boy just kind of accepted it and just sort of sadly went off. And anyway, the description of, it was in the 60s, early 60s or mid 60s, and someone who I read about said he just saw Sonny Boy down by the river after he came back from England, down by the Sunflower River, which is the river that runs behind, I think the river runs behind the Jack-Up Inn and goes through Clarksdale. And he was just staring into the water. And then, he was by then in his 60s or his 70s, and, had a long, I'm sure, boozy life. So he died.
Did he died from what, cancer?
No, I think he just died of
I've read accounts of him playing and then like coughing up blood and spitting it in a.
That I never read, but yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah.
Isn't there some ambiguity about his birth date too?
Tremendous ambiguity, whether he was old or this has a date on it, and
it could be like easily 10, 15 years before that date too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Oh, it's good to know there's other people who know something about Sonny Boy, and no one said, actually, John. It's good to know.
No, James Cotton's
Cotton lives in Austin, right down the street from my brother.
No.
Robert Johnson.
Paul Washer.
Thank you.
Robert Johnson, that's I'm not sure where he's buried, but the thing about Clarksdale...
There are three sites that claim to be the place where he was buried, and it's pretty sure that each of the three sites is not the place where he's buried.
Well, where he's buried or where he sold his soul to the devil. because I mean, I have heard that he sold his soul to the devil at the crossroads in Mississippi. And then another town came out and said, no, he sold his soul to the devil here. And Clarksdale was pissed off, said, no, you sold his soul to the devil here.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have to say anything more. Except that really he disappeared. He was a half-ass harmonica player, and he came back as the world's greatest blues guitar player. And I understand that he was down south about 50 or 60 miles taking guitar lessons. And they would, and the cool thing about the store, I think the guy's name was Isaac Dynenson or something like that. Someone's first name was Isaac. And they would do the lessons in the cemeteries. They would go out and sit on the gravestones where they could get away from everybody. And I would suspect, you know, yeah. But I do have a line about that I'll conclude with, about selling your soul to the devil. When you learn to play the blues or you learn to play the harmonica, it bedevils you. It confuses you and frustrates you. It bedevils you. And at a certain point, you will surrender yourself to what the harmonica requires from you. You will stop forcing it. You will let the harmonica be the boss, and you'll learn how to work it. And you can call that selling your soul to the devil, if you want, in our context. So, all right.
We all gotta find a way.
Let's give it about